The signs are unmistakable. Overgrown lawns, boarded windows, eviction notices taped to front doors. Across the United States, a silent wave is spreading as foreclosures rise once again. From the pandemic-era buying frenzy to today's high mortgage rates, the housing market has shifted with brutal speed. And now, some cities are seeing foreclosure numbers climb to levels not witnessed in more than a decade. In this video, we uncover the top 10 United States cities with the most foreclosures in 2025. Cities where missed payments, job losses, and inflated home prices are pushing owners to the brink. Subscribe to Discover the Nation to stay informed about every housing trend, every market shift, and every warning sign unfolding across America in real time. Now, let us count down the cities standing at the edge of crisis.
Number 10. Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis has always been a city of grit and rhythm. Its soul runs deep, from the blues on Beale Street to the heart of the Mississippi Delta. But in 2025, that same soul is being tested by a housing market unraveling faster than anyone expected. Foreclosure filings have surged more than 35% in just 1 year. Low-income neighborhoods, such as Frazier, South Memphis, and parts of Orange Mound, are seeing waves of bank-owned homes return to the market. Blocks once filled with families now sit half-empty, with overgrown lawns and boarded windows marking the fallout of an overheated market. The causes are layered. Stagnant wages have left families vulnerable. Rising property insurance costs are eating into already thin budgets. Thousands of buyers who stretched too far during the pandemic-era boom are now falling behind on payments. Adjustable-rate mortgages that seemed manageable in 2021 have reset to unaffordable levels in 2025, pushing homeowners to the edge. Investors who once flooded Memphis for cheap rental returns are quietly exiting. Vacancy rates are climbing, and city code enforcement can barely keep up with the surge of abandoned homes. Even landlords are defaulting as rents stagnate and repair costs soar. Still, the heart of Memphis beats on. Downtown redevelopment continues. The music still plays. But behind the rhythm lies uncertainty, with families unsure whether to sell, stay, or surrender. This is not just another market dip. It is a warning about what happens when optimism outruns income. To understand the real story behind America's next foreclosure wave, subscribe to Discover the Nation. Memphis is not alone. It is one of many cities now feeling the aftershocks of a boom built on borrowed time.
Number 9. Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland has always been a city built on endurance. It has seen prosperity, decline, and rebirth. Yet in 2025, it faces a familiar and painful challenge. The housing market, which once promised stability, is once again trembling under financial pressure. Foreclosure rates have jumped 32% in just a year, marking the sharpest increase in Ohio. Neighborhoods east of downtown, such as Glenville, Houx, and Fairfax, are filled with vacant homes and boarded windows. Streets that once echoed with the sound of children now sit in uneasy silence. Investors who bought aggressively during the pandemic are walking away, unable to cover maintenance costs or find tenants in a softening rental market. City services, already stretched to their limits, are struggling to keep up with rising blight and property abandonment. The causes run deeper than the data shows. Cleveland's reputation for affordability once attracted working-class families and out-of-state buyers looking for value. But that promise has faded. Insurance premiums, property taxes, and energy bills have all risen faster than wages. Many homeowners, who were already on the financial edge, now find themselves buried by inflation. For some, one unexpected medical bill or missed paycheck is all it takes to lose everything. Even the city's revitalization efforts are slowing. Redevelopment projects in Midtown and Tremont have paused as construction financing dries up. Investors are cautious and buyers are hesitant. Optimism that once filled Cleveland's downtown corridor is slipping away. Yet Cleveland's identity remains rooted in strength. The Browns still rally the city, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame still brings pride, and Lake Erie still glimmers with potential. But the empty houses tell another story, one of opportunities slipping through the cracks. For many families, the dream of owning a home is being replaced by fear of losing one. What is happening in Cleveland today could soon echo through every Rust Belt city that tried to rebuild faster than its economy could sustain.
Number 8. Jacksonville, Florida. Jacksonville was once celebrated as Florida's affordable frontier, a growing city with jobs, space, and sunshine. During the pandemic boom, it became a magnet for new residents from across the country. Developers raced to build, investors poured in, and housing prices climbed to record highs. But in 2025, the growth that once seemed unstoppable has turned sharply in the opposite direction. Foreclosures have surged 40% in just 12 months, one of the largest jumps in the Southeast. Neighborhoods like Arlington, West Side, and South Side are now dotted with abandoned properties and unkept lawns. It is an eerie echo of the housing collapse that struck Florida in 2008. Many of the homeowners now in trouble bought at the height of the pandemic market with adjustable rate loans. As those rates reset, monthly payments have doubled or even tripled. At the same time, insurance costs have become crushing. In some parts of Duval County, homeowners are paying more than $6,000 a year for insurance alone. New flood maps and coastal risks have only worsened the strain. Even new construction is feeling the pressure. Builders who once had waiting lists are offering price cuts, incentives, and closing credits just to move inventory. Buyers are hesitant, lenders are cautious, and investors are retreating. Jacksonville's advantages, its beaches, ports, and military presence, now feel like liabilities in a high-cost environment. Flood risk, insurance volatility, and rising maintenance expenses are forcing families to make difficult choices. Some are selling at losses, others are walking away entirely. Yet Jacksonville's potential has not vanished. The St. Johns River still sparkles at sunset, and downtown revitalization projects continue in hope of recovery. But optimism has turned to anxiety as residents wonder how deep the correction will go. To follow the truth behind America's fast-cooling markets, subscribe to Discover the Nation. Jacksonville is not an outlier anymore. It is a sign of what happens when growth runs ahead of reality.
Number 7. Las Vegas, Nevada. Las Vegas has always lived by its own rules. It is a city built on ambition, glimmering lights, and the thrill of risk. But in 2025, the gamble is faltering, and the cracks in the city's housing market are widening once again. Foreclosures have surged 45% from last year, marking the steepest rise since the Great Recession. The hardest-hit areas are not the luxury towers on the Strip, but the suburban sprawl beyond it. North Las Vegas, Henderson, and Summerlin. Streets that once symbolized new beginnings are now lined with for sale signs and silent homes. During the pandemic, thousands of buyers and investors rushed to purchase properties, betting that migration from California and the tourism rebound would last forever. Now, mortgage rates have doubled, energy bills in the desert have soared, and property taxes have increased. For many families, the math no longer works. Tourism, the lifeblood of the Nevada economy, has cooled. Casino revenues look strong on paper, but job growth has not kept pace. Many workers are seeing reduced hours or no overtime, leaving them unable to keep up with rising costs. The service industry, once a reliable safety net, is unraveling under economic pressure. Home builders, who once thrived on demand, are now cutting prices and halting projects. Investors are liquidating properties to minimize losses, and the rental market is softening as job insecurity spreads. Yet, at night, Las Vegas still glows with beauty and illusion. The skyline sparkles, the Strip hums, and tourists still pour in. But behind the lights lies a different story, one of overconfidence, debt, and families struggling in silence. Las Vegas has always mirrored the national economy, and this time, it may again be the first to show how deep the downturn will go. What happens in Las Vegas never truly stays there. It reveals the future before it arrives.
Number 6. Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit's story has always been one of grit and resilience. It is the city that built America's cars, the city that powered a nation through innovation and endurance. For years, Detroit was written off as a symbol of decline. But then came hope, new investment, downtown revival, and a cautious belief that the worst had passed. Yet, in 2025, that fragile comeback is facing a serious test. Foreclosure activity has surged 38% since last year, spreading through East Side neighborhoods and the Southwest Corridor. Areas that had begun to show progress are losing ground again as economic pressures mount. Property values that had risen steadily since 2015 are now slipping, and the foundation of Detroit's recovery, working-class stability, is cracking under strain. The auto industry, long the heartbeat of the city, is faltering. Job cuts and production delays caused by global supply chain issues have left thousands uncertain about their future. Inflation has pushed everyday costs to record highs, and for many homeowners, a single missed paycheck can mean losing their home. Property insurance and utility costs are climbing, stretching already thin household budgets beyond their limit. Vacant houses, once the symbol of Detroit's darkest years, are starting to reappear. Community organizations are racing to prevent another wave of urban blight, but resources are running short. The city's tax base, which had just started to recover, is thinning again. Residents who fought hard to stay are now questioning whether they can afford to remain. Still, Detroit's heart refuses to quit. The art scene thrives. Entrepreneurs are opening shops downtown. The skyline still glows with ambition. But behind that energy is a truth Detroit knows too well. Progress built on fragile ground can crumble overnight. To understand how America's most determined cities are fighting to protect their comebacks, subscribe to Discover the Nation. Because Detroit's struggle today is more than a local crisis. It is a blueprint for how old industrial America faces its next housing storm.
Number 5. Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix was once the face of endless expansion. The Valley of the Sun became the epicenter of growth during the pandemic boom, with homes sprouting across the desert faster than builders could finish them. Californians moved in by the thousands, investors flooded the market, and prices soared to historic highs. But in 2025, that heat has cooled, and the shift is unmistakable. Foreclosure filings have jumped 50% in a single year, the steepest rise in the nation. Suburbs like Glendale, Goodyear, and Mesa are flooded with listings as homeowners fall behind on payments. Properties that once sparked bidding wars are now lingering on the market, often marked by repeated price cuts. The optimism that fueled the boom has turned to anxiety. One of the biggest pressures on Phoenix is water scarcity. Severe droughts and restrictions on the Colorado River have made developers nervous and slowed new construction. Investors are pulling back, and some residents are leaving entirely, concerned about sustainability. Meanwhile, electricity and water bills have climbed dramatically, adding hundreds to monthly expenses for families already struggling with high mortgages. Many of those who bought at the peak of the market stretched themselves too far, betting on endless appreciation. Instead, home values are slipping, leaving homeowners underwater. Builders are now offering incentives, free upgrades, and lower deposits to attract hesitant buyers. But demand continues to wane. The rental market, once blazing hot, is also cooling. Vacancy rates are climbing, and investors who relied on short-term profits are quietly selling. Phoenix remains stunning. Golden sunsets, mountain views, and a skyline glowing against the desert. But beneath that beauty lies a fragile reality. The boom that defined Phoenix's rise is unwinding, and the correction may just be beginning. Phoenix reveals what happens when the desert dream runs into a financial drought.
Number 4. San Bernardino, California. Just east of Los Angeles sits San Bernardino, a city once seen as the affordable doorway to Southern California. For working families, it offered hope, space, and a chance at homeownership in a state where prices had spiraled out of reach.
But in 2025, that dream is turning into a warning. Foreclosures have increased more than 55% in a single year, the highest rate in the entire Inland Empire. Neighborhoods that once represented opportunity are now lined with boarded windows and vacant homes. The unemployment rate remains among the highest in California, and with few high-paying industries, many homeowners are struggling to stay afloat. Investors who flooded the area during the pandemic, lured by cheap prices and high rental returns, are now retreating. Properties are flooding the market, driving prices lower and confidence even lower. What looked like a steady climb toward stability has turned into a steep slide toward distress. San Bernardino's struggles run deeper than the housing market. Its infrastructure remains underfunded, its schools and public services are stretched thin, and job growth has stalled. For residents living paycheck to paycheck, even a small financial setback can spiral into foreclosure. Driving through the city tells the story clearly. Highland Avenue, once bustling with local shops and families, now stands quieter than ever. Lawns are dry, businesses are shuttered, and the sound of construction has faded into silence. Yet through it all, the people of San Bernardino continued to fight for their community. Neighborhood groups, churches, and volunteers are working tirelessly to prevent another collapse. San Bernardino's crisis is not just local, it represents the hidden reality of California's housing problem. Affordability without opportunity is not sustainable, and this city proves it. For a closer look at the side of California that rarely makes headlines, subscribe to Discover the Nation. Because the story of San Bernardino reveals what happens when the promise of affordability meets the limits of survival.
Number 3. Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta once stood as the model for post-pandemic migration, a place where families could still dream big. Its wide suburbs, affordable housing, and booming job market made it the ultimate destination for newcomers escaping high-cost coastal cities. For years, the momentum seemed unstoppable. Prices climbed, developers built relentlessly, and entire communities appeared almost overnight. But in 2025, that momentum has turned into a major risk. Foreclosures have surged more than 60% in the past year, one of the sharpest increases in the nation. Suburbs such as Lithonia, College Park, and Stone Mountain are now feeling the squeeze. Many buyers who entered the market during the low-rate frenzy of 2021 are struggling to keep up as adjustable loans reset and property taxes rise. Insurance premiums, once manageable, have doubled in some neighborhoods, draining household savings. Builders are slashing prices to offload unsold inventory, while investors who once bought multiple homes are liquidating their portfolios. The very sprawl that once fueled Atlanta's success has become a burden. Long commutes, high fuel costs, and limited public infrastructure have turned once desirable suburbs into financial traps for families living paycheck to paycheck. At the same time, downtown revitalization has slowed. Corporate relocations that once brought high-paying jobs have stalled. Tech and logistics firms have cut hiring, and some have shifted operations elsewhere. With fewer jobs and rising costs, homeowners are left exposed. Banks are stepping up repossessions, and rows of vacant homes are appearing across the metro area. Atlanta still radiates energy and ambition. Its skyline glows at night, its food and culture remain unmatched, and its people continue to fight for opportunity. But beneath the charm lies an uneasy truth. Growth without balance leads to collapse. It is the warning sign for the entire Sun Belt, showing what happens when expansion runs faster than the economy supporting it.
Number 2, Chicago, Illinois. Chicago has always been one of America's great cities, bold, resilient, and full of ambition. But in 2025, that strength is being tested as its housing market slips deeper into crisis. Foreclosure rates have surged 67% over the past year, a staggering jump that signals not just a slowdown, but a genuine emergency. The pain is concentrated on the south and west sides in neighborhoods like Inglewood, Austin, and Humboldt Park. These are communities that have endured decades of struggle, yet continued to persevere. Now, rising costs and shrinking opportunities are breaking even their resilience. Property taxes, already some of the highest in the country, have increased again to cover city debts. Wages have stagnated while utility bills, food prices, and insurance premiums continue to rise. For many families, the math no longer works. Homes that once symbolized stability are slipping into foreclosure, evictions are rising, and property tax delinquencies are piling up. The city's economy, still recovering from pandemic disruptions, has slowed in key sectors like manufacturing and logistics. Job growth has stalled, and small businesses are closing their doors at a steady pace. City officials face a daunting challenge. As more homes are lost, entire neighborhoods risk falling into decline. Fewer taxpayers mean less revenue, which leads to more service cuts, creating a cycle that Chicago knows all too well. The scars of past housing collapses still run deep, and this one threatens to reopen them. Yet, even in the midst of crisis, Chicago's identity endures. The skyline remains magnificent, the neighborhoods vibrant with culture, and the people determined. But the truth is clear. Economic pressure is overwhelming hope. If you want to see how America's largest cities are bracing for the next wave of housing distress, subscribe to Discover the Nation, because what is happening in Chicago today may be the roadmap for what awaits urban America tomorrow.
Number 1. Houston. Houston has long been the symbol of Southern prosperity. Affordable housing, rapid job growth, and room for everyone to build a future. But in 2025, that story has taken a sharp turn. The city once praised for stability is now ground zero for the nation's foreclosure crisis. Foreclosure filings in Houston have exploded, rising more than 70% year over year, the fastest increase of any metro area in America. From Katy to Pasadena to Spring, families are losing homes at a pace not seen since the Great Recession. The reasons are many, but together they paint a clear picture of a market under immense strain. Overbuilding during the pandemic created massive oversupply. Builders raced to meet demand, flooding the market with new homes. But now, job instability in energy, manufacturing, and construction has weakened the foundation of Houston's economy. Thousands are underemployed or out of work entirely. At the same time, the cost of homeowners insurance has skyrocketed following new hurricane risk assessments. Premiums have doubled or tripled in some zip codes, making monthly payments unbearable for many. Entire communities that once symbolized opportunity are now filled with empty homes. Builders are abandoning half-finished projects. Banks are tightening credit and raising lending standards, locking out first-time buyers. Even long-time homeowners are trapped, unable to sell or refinance as property values drop. Flooding risks and costly repairs are compounding the pain. Families who once felt secure now find themselves drowning in expenses they no longer can manage. Houston still shines with the energy and diversity that made it great. Its skyline remains impressive, and its people remain determined. But beneath that surface, the stress is spreading fast.
These are the cities where homeownership dreams are collapsing. Not gradually, but dramatically. Foreclosures are more than statistics. Each one tells a story of a family displaced, of a neighborhood changed, of a city forced to rethink its future. As we move into 2026, the fallout is far from over. Subscribe to Discover the Nation to stay ahead of every twist in America's housing story, because this crisis is still unfolding and the next chapter could be closer than you think.